Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
You're just chewing ice over here. Welcome to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. It's Friday, December 15th. This is episode 61. I'm Matt Roy. This is Rocky Garza stepping in for the guys this week. It's one of those times where it's like everybody's schedule's all messed up because of the Christmas and all the holidays and stuff. So Zach's on vacation this week. David Chancer's going to the Lakers and Spurs game tonight. Ooh. I went on Wednesday. I did not break the curse. Sorry, guys. And then Don and Chuck are both off on Fridays. So Rocky, kind enough to step away from the assignment desk upstairs.
Yeah, it's kind of rare when I step away. My manager's not here, so I was like, you know what? I got a photog to watch the assignment desk today.
Sorry, David. Anyway, so number 61 is kind of an interesting one, kind of close to a lot of Cowboys fans' hearts, though. Nate Newton, big number 61, 3 Super Bowls with the Cowboys. I think was there from 87 to 96.
Yep.
And then when he left, you were born, and they haven't been good since.
No, and like I was joking with you, it's in my LinkedIn profile. Literally, the year I was born, the Cowboys have not won anything, so maybe I'm the jinx.
I think you are. I don't know how to fix that, though, so, they're kind of screwed.
Maybe I just support a different team, then they'll start winning.
Don't like the Broncos. Thanks. We're good. We're bad enough. Other 61s I wrote down. So Roger Maris obviously was not 61, but he had the record of 61 until 2 years ago with Aaron Judge. So was it last year? No, 2 years ago. Two seasons ago. Two seasons ago. Last year, but 2 seasons ago. Yeah, so 61, I put him down because obviously when I think of 61, I do think of Roger Maris because of his record that he had. So 61 there, and he actually also did that in 1961, so fun fact. And then we also got Josh Beckett. He was 61 with the Dodgers and the Marlins. Obviously, his best years were with the Marlins and the Red Sox. So close to my heart. I love Josh Beckett. But any other 61s come to mind?
No, I was telling you before this too. Like I was trying to think of 61s, then I saw you put Nate Newton, and I was like, well, I'm a Cowboys fan. I like Nate Newton. He's big and strong, and you always see those videos of him. So I'll stay with Nate Newton.
Fun fact: 2 NBA players ever have worn the number 61. I did not write it down, but I'm just telling you, there's 2 players. All right, a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. So after today, we will not be back until Tuesday. Usually we have Monday episodes. We're not going to be back until Tuesday next week because we have a very special show planned on Tuesday, 3:15 p.m. Don and I are going to go live from Frisco, Texas, from the Toyota Center or Toyota Stadium up there in Frisco. We're going to do a live UTSA special as they're going to be getting ready to play Marshall in the Frisco Bowl. That kicks off, at 8 o'clock. So we'll be live at 3:15. Don and I, we have an exclusive sit down with Jeff Traylor where he got really emotional talking about his guys and talk about his favorite coffee orders, how important this would be to win the Frisco Bowl and all that stuff. Didn't you? Jeff Traylor kind of took me by surprise. He's not just like a black coffee guy.
Really?
Wouldn't you think like he's just like straight black coffee?
Yeah, because he's always like so bold, and so I think he has that boldness in him to just drink straight black coffee.
No, wow. Man, he likes the cream in there, man. He likes the vanilla sweet cream cold brews.
So he's not like a pumpkin spice cold brew type of guy.
I didn't ask him that. I didn't want him to kill me. But yeah, we talked to Jeff Traylor, so we'll have a nice special on Tuesday. Everybody tune in for that. That's going to be really fun. And then after that, we're going to be back on Thursday. And then after that, off for Christmas week, and we'll be back in the new year. So only 2 more episodes after today before 2024. Kind of crazy that 2024 is only like 2 weeks away.
Literally.
But all right, let's get to the Spurs. So as much as I don't want to talk about them, we kind of have to. So the Spurs are historically bad, and this is coming into a season that we thought they were going to be a lot better than they were last year. Apparently they're a lot worse, even though they're a lot more talented. So at this point, at what point do you have to get to as a Spurs fan to where you're just like, I'm so over it? Like, at what point is the season just done? Like, do you still care right now? Like, they're 3-20.
I mean, I do care, and I do have my frustrations because I know this team's capable of doing what they can, and you add a better talent. You saw them do, with lesser talent, more wins. You saw more wins in the win column last year. So it kind of frustrates me what's going on. I couldn't tell you or pinpoint what's the specific thing we need. I know some people can point that we need Trey to start, or we need this guy to sit to the bench. But I mean, I don't truly know what's going on. The only thing that I got going that's good for me is like seeing that Wemby's growing, he's learning. it's going to be going through these growing pains, and I feel like he understands that, which is very, optimistic about me because I'm like, what if Wemby's like gets tired of it and he wants to leave? But he's not that type of guy to me. Some Spurs fans are just done with it. I can understand. It's 18 games, 10 away from the record.
I mean, yeah. I mean, at this point, it's just like, so, no matter how bad you are, you can usually fall into a win at some point.
Course.
But the fact that they've lost 18 in a row and the way they've lost so many with so many games, it looks like they're not even competing through three quarters. Like, I'm just going to take Wednesday, for example. I was there. They looked horrible through three quarters. They couldn't do anything. And then in the fourth quarter happened, they're like, maybe we should try now. And then they came back and almost won that game against the Lakers. Obviously, no LeBron on that one, sadly. But I tweeted at him. I tried to get him to play, but he still didn't want to. He didn't play, and they still almost came back and won. And Wemby went for, I think it was 30 and 13 and 6 assists and 5 blocks. And he really took it to Anthony Davis in the fourth after Anthony Davis destroyed him for three quarters. Like, Anthony Davis killed him for three quarters. Dunked on him once too. It was wild. But you look at games like that and you're like, why can't you play like the fourth quarter all the time?
Yeah. And
they just can't. They do not have the ability to put together 4 good quarters of basketball that are enough to win a game.
No, of course. And that's what frustrates me because I want to see the Spurs win. I hate seeing them lose, and I get some people want to see them lose, get a higher draft pick, but it's very annoying.
So done with draft picks.
Yes, and I feel like we're becoming into OKC. We're gonna hit eventually, but eventually you got to turn those picks into quality players. And I'm not saying we should blow it all up and trade for veterans, this and that, but we need to get some help on Wemby. And I think at the halfway point, if we're still somehow on like a really long 40-game losing streak, then of course, then I'm going to be frustrated and just kind of done with the Spurs. Not really done with the Spurs, but just kind of done
it's like
in general.
At a certain point, they lost and got draft picks for Devin Vassell.
Yep.
They lost and got draft picks for Keldon Johnson. They lost and got draft picks for Jeremy Sohan. Like, at what point are we just like, do something?
Yeah, and
like we can't just draft. I'm saying the Spurs just can't draft another player and be like, yeah, maybe he'll help.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be some very hard discussions of what's going to come after this season. Is we're going to see some of our favorite players probably get moved. If I'm a betting man, I would say Keldon would be like we want.
I think he's going to be gone by the trade deadline.
And and I talked about that earlier with some of my friends. I feel like Keldon and maybe some picks get allocated to get a guy that's either up and coming or a proven player, just to get Wemby that help. Because a lot of teams are just doubling, and they know Wemby's the true threat besides maybe Vassell, arguably, but it's just Wemby out there.
Well, we know Vassell's not going anywhere. He just signed the new contract. Zach Collins isn't going anywhere.
Yep.
The guys you can and probably will trade are Doug McDermott.
Yep.
Trey Jones just re-signed. He's not going anywhere.
Devontae Graham.
Devontae Graham's probably going to be gone.
Yep.
Keldon's probably going to be gone. Besides that, who else are you moving? Jeremy?
I don't think they're
ready to give up on Jeremy.
It's too early on Jeremy, and given the dedication of what Pop was doing with Jeremy, he's not ready to move on from him yet. I feel like he didn't really fit that point guard role. He's more of a point forward, and he still has his ceiling this high, and I feel like he hasn't even touched it yet. I imagine that maybe Seti gets moved. It's not really.
Chetty's going to get moved.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's not really a big. Getting a lot of return back from that, but
what do you? That's my point. Like, what are you getting? You're getting more draft picks.
Yeah.
Yahoo! Cool.
Yeah.
Like, what are you getting? What are you getting for Chetty Osman? Maybe a late first rounder in 2028, 2029. Maybe a second rounder next year.
The infamous cash considerations.
Yeah, cash considerations. Cool. That's gonna help Wemby. Like, Wemby's so phenomenal, and that's the part that's hard about this is that you see him and he's doing all he can, and he just needs some freaking help. And then you have Keldon, who went off the other night, and it was in a losing effort, and it's so frustrating because I don't know how to pinpoint exactly why they're playing badly, but it all comes back to effort, and their effort through 4 quarters is not the same and isn't good enough.
Yep.
So I have one question down here. We've heard about it this year all the time with Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. Excuse me. This being his last season, despite winning 6 Super Bowls, like, when do you cut ties? Obviously the Patriots, since Brady left, haven't been great. The Spurs, since they lost everybody, haven't been great. When do you cut ties with Pop? When is this Pop's fault? When is this Brian Wright's fault? When is this everybody's fault in the front office and not just the players on the court? When do Spurs fans finally get to that point where they're like, you know what? Pop's got to do something here, or we have to do something about him.
And I think it's now. For me, I don't think it's really necessarily Brian Wright's fault because I mean he's doing his best after the whole Kawhi situation, and he ended up getting and Demar, and he ended up getting Wemby from what it is. But I think it's Pop's situation, Pop's problem dilemma because he has to adjust to the new game. I mean, I get it. Pop's the most winningest coach, but there becomes a point of when is Pop going to be held accountable? I mean, he's such in a hierarchy in San Antonio with the Spurs, and as he should. But I mean, he has to be held accountable as well. I mean, it's kind of hard to push him out. He's done so much for the franchise itself, but I mean, even if he tried pushing him, who's going to come in and just change the culture right away? And are they even going to want to do that?
So I don't think that he's going to be gone. I don't think that I don't think they're going to get rid of Pop even if he loses 40 or 60 games the next 3 years. I really don't. But what I think I want to see from Pop is what we saw in the last 20 years in him actually getting on people. I'm so sick of after a game him being like, I just hope something breaks right for these guys.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for these guys. This, that, and the other. It's like, no, get on someone's ass, man. Like, yell, scream, do something. Like, I'm so sick of him just, yep, that was a really good effort through 3 quarters. I just want something to break right for these guys. They're doing their best. They're really trying.
Yeah.
Good job. Nice job pooping.
Yep.
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yell at a guy, scream at a guy, do something.
Yeah, he needs to, and maybe he does that behind the closed doors. And I feel like he's taking more of a, kind of a peace-minded approach now lately because the kids are so young. But I think in time he needs to, eventually really get these kids and teach them a lesson. It's not like he's, going to berate them the whole time and just say you suck, this and that. He's teaching them a lesson. He needs to show them like he actually cares, and he does, somberly. But I mean, he's.
Here's the thing: if he walks up to him and says they suck right now, he's right.
Yep.
They do suck.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, just do something. Like, someone has to do something to break this losing streak. You're playing the Lakers again tonight. You're probably getting your ass kicked because LeBron's playing tonight. So, okay, got the schedule right here. You lose to the Lakers.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you're at home on Sunday. Did they beat the 13-12 Pelicans? I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
Okay, there's 20. You're at the Bucks. That's a loss. You're at the Bulls. Maybe you can win that.
Because Levine would still be out, correct?
Levine might still be out, but the Bulls have their own issues, so that's winnable. You're at the Mavericks. That's a loss. You're home to the Jazz for maybe your 24th loss in a row. You can win that game.
Yep.
You're at the Blazers twice. You have to win one of those.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But then if you lose both of those games at the Blazers, you have a back-to-back. Then you're home to the Celtics on New Year's Eve.
That's a loss.
That's a loss. So you're going to go 2 whole calendar months without a win?
Yeah.
Like, someone has to do something. Like, I don't know what it is. I'm not smart enough to know what it is. I'm only smart enough to see that there is a problem.
Yeah.
But someone has to do something, whether that's Wemby, whether that's Keldon, whether that's Brian Wright, whether that's R.C. Buford, whether that's Pop. I don't know. Someone has to do something because the next 10, I see a 1 in 9 at this point.
Do you think next year when we talk about this, we're going to be hitting the record or beating it?
This record?
Yes.
God, I hope not.
I hope not either.
If the Spurs come back and lose 18 in a row again next year, that'll be the 3rd season in a row they've had a losing streak of 16 or more. I quit. I'm done talking about them. All right, so let's get to something that's a little funnier. So Ayo Dosunmu, he played at Illinois. He's a point guard for the Bulls. Every so often, you see someone with a stat line that just drops your jaw, whether it's good or bad. Ayo Dosunmu, on Monday, he played 26 minutes in an NBA game for the Bulls. He is now the third player in NBA history who logged 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, and 0 blocks in a full game in more than 26 minutes of play. My question is, if you were to get 26 minutes of run in an NBA game, could you do better than that? And what would your stat line be? 26 minutes.
26 minutes.
I'm giving you 26 minutes to go do something.
I'm dropping 3 points, and they're all going to come from free throws because I'm going to get my shot blocked, or I'm just going to be passing and hopefully praying that
something goes in.
Something goes in, or if someone passes me deep, I'm just going to launch it up. But I get 3 points, and I'll probably go like 1 for 9 shooting.
You're getting 9 shots up in an NBA game?
I'm just going to yank them up.
Brother. From half court or what?
No, I'm just gonna yank it up. Every time I get it. I mean, if you didn't tell me what type of team I'm on, I could be on the worst team in the NBA, which arguably the Spurs, and they could just give me minutes just because.
I mean, you're not getting 9 shots up in an NBA game. He got 6.
Yeah.
He missed all of them, but he was just there for a good time. I think if I was to get in an NBA game, I would score 2 points and I'd commit 6 fouls. I would get one shot. I would probably get like 3 shots up. Only one of them would count because I'd get fouled on 2 of them, I'm sure. I would flail and do something to where I can at least get 2 free throws. And now I would get 6 fouls because there's no way I'm staying in front of anybody. And there's no way I'm going to block out, Wemby? Okay. That's a loose ball foul waiting to happen.
I feel like you would get a rebound that would bounce your way. I mean, you're pretty tall.
I might have 1 rebound.
You're pretty one will get lucky, bounce your way, and then like you'd be like, all right.
I'd be like DeJuan Blair.
Yeah,
like he couldn't shoot at all. He was out there playing with no ACLs, but he was just so fat that he could block people out and like such a good rebounder. That's what I would do. I would get it under the basket and I'd pump fake and just pray to God someone jumps.
Everyone's just gonna be like, yeah, we already know this guy's moving.
Please. I would have to perfect the Dirk fadeaway. But yeah, what a stat line. 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0 in 26 minutes of play. He came out and scored like 25 the other night.
Tony Snell the other one?
Tony Snell.
I think
Tony Snell's one. I forgot who the third one was.
I could have sworn I'd been PJ Tucker recently, but maybe he didn't play a full game. But
no, he didn't play enough. He didn't play 26
but I know
minutes.
he did have 0, 0, 0, and he got people were laughing.
Yeah, that was in like 17, 18 minutes. But
yeah.
Still, it's like, how do you go out there for an NBA game? You're one of 10 people on the court, and you don't have anything that happens. You don't have any ball that comes your way. You're not good enough to get to the free throw line. You don't get an assist. Like, I want to see how many high fives he had. That's what I want. He
has nice shoes though and a nice haircut.
He does not have a nice haircut.
Just a little edge up, here and there.
Dude does not look good. I like Io though. I covered him in Champaign when I was working in Springfield. So he's a nice kid. I was just like, what the hell is this stat line? We're like, really, dude? 0, 0, 0, 0? Like, what are you doing?
It's crazy because coming out of the draft, a lot of people were hype him, and
Io's a good player.
And a lot of Spurs fans wanted him. I mean, I was real hype about him too. I was like, okay, he'd be a good 3-and-D guy, but
he stayed home though. He stayed with the Bulls. He played in Champaign. He's from Chicago, so it was a good thing that he went to the Bulls. But anyway, like, that's besides the point. The only point is, like, you got to at least get a board or something. You know, like, make yourself useful. Stop just. He was just there for a good time, man. He was just like, you know what? I'm just here so I don't get fined. Let's get to the Cowboys real quick. So Cowboys, Bills, Sunday, 3:25 in Buffalo. Cowboys coming off of the monstrous win over the Eagles, in which they dominated in every facet of the game, especially in their kicking game, a 45, 50, 59, and 60 yarders by the best kicker in the league, Brandon Aubrey, right now, by percentage at least. The Bills coming off a huge win, controversial win over the Chiefs. Sorry, Jordan, about that. Kadarius Toney apparently has too big of a shoe size and had to get that called back on him. So obviously the Bills won against the Chiefs. They're coming off a huge win. The Bills pretty much have to win out to make the playoffs or at least win the AFC East. The Cowboys have to win out to keep pace with the Eagles, who have a cupcake of a schedule over the next 4 weeks. The Seahawks, the Giants twice, and the Cardinals. So the Bills are favored by 2.5 points. The over-under set at 50.5. It's supposed to be really rainy. It's supposed to be really windy. It is a turf field, which Dak plays better on. But how's this game going to go?
It's going to come down to the Cowboys establishing that run game. It hasn't really necessarily been there. The Cowboys have been real reliant on their passing game. But, I mean, given the conditions, it's going to be really hard to air it out necessarily. But I feel like it's going to come down to them establishing the run game. You've seen some sparks and some bursts from Pollard and Rico, and then they mixing up and using some end arounds with CD, Brandon Cooks, and Turpin. But necessarily, I think it's going to come down to that. And Dak just proving that he can win on the road. I mean, Dak statistically is worse on the road, but it's going to be a fun game. I'm real excited about this. I always like when the Cowboys play the Bills necessarily, but it's going to be a real good game.
You see, real quick, sorry to go to a different topic. Do you see Kellen Moore was not named the interim head coach?
I did see that. I was real surprised. I was telling Dez.
How bad does he have to be?
I was telling Dez, I was like, oh, interim coach Kellen Moore gets his audition, and then he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
All right. So when it comes to this game, though, the Cowboys are – I'm concerned about the game for a couple of reasons. One, the Bills are good, obviously. Yep. They've turned it around since firing Ken Dorsey and instituting Joe Brady, who is the mastermind behind the Joe Burrow LSU offense when they won the national championship, one of the best college football teams of all time back in 2019. I think that the Cowboys need this win more than the Bills do.
Uh-huh.
I think that they'll win it. But we've seen how much of a different team the Cowboys are on the road.
Yep.
They're 3-3 on the road. They've lost all 3 of them. The Philly game, they played the best, obviously. They did not play well against the Cardinals early in the season, but I kind of chalk that up to them, like their offense really not getting gelling yet. They underestimated the Cardinals, like everybody underestimated the Cardinals. We still underestimate the Cardinals because the Cardinals do suck. And then they lost to the Niners, and the Niners, that's nothing to sneeze at. Like the Niners are the best team in the league, in my opinion. So, but they're 3-3 on the road. They only score 23 points per game on the road compared to nearing 40 at home. They're 7-0 and scored like 39.7 points at home per game. So they're just a vastly different team. If it is rainy, if it is windy, I think that plays into the Bills' favor even more.
Yep.
Because of their run game and Josh Allen's ability to run. Dak Prescott can run, but not through defenders like Josh can. And I think this will be a test for the air attack. I mean, Dak Prescott hasn't really played outside in bad conditions yet this year. He's a dome guy. He's kind of like Jared Goff. They play at home. They play well at home. And so you have Dak, who is having the best season of his entire career, is the favorite to win the MVP. This is going to be a test. Can he throw that seam ball to Brandon Cooks right up the middle down the hash in 20-mile-an-hour gusts? I don't know. Can he throw the crosser to Kavonte Turpin through the wind, 20, 30-mile-an-hour winds? I don't know. We'll see. But it's also going to be a test for the run game because the Cowboys' run game's been atrocious.
Oh, yeah.
It's been horrible. I think they finally found something to make Tony Pollard the Lightning again and not the Thunder. I think they're asking Rico now to be the Thunder, which is smart because I think they realized that last year's run game was better because they had Zeke. They had somebody to take the load off of Tony. And Tony's not that bell cow back. I think we've all learned that now. So I think that the run game is getting better, but you're going to have to run the ball in this game. And if you don't have 150 yards rushing, I do not think they win.
No, yeah, and going off that too, I think it's going to come down to the defense for the Cowboys. I mean, you're facing arguably the best quarterback you've seen this season with Josh Allen, who a lot of people have been doubting this year, but I mean, he's still one of the top guys, elite guys, and his legs just make him a more dangerous weapon. I mean, you saw it just last season when Jalen Hurts beat them with their legs. Now you have to watch Josh Allen. Who's going to be spying on Josh Allen? It's going to be interesting and fun to watch when you see Micah versus Josh Allen. But I mean, two of the best players at the positions. But I think it's really going to, you mentioned, it's going to come another running game. I think the Cowboys are going to pull it out in this one. But their next games after that's going to be a real gauntlet for them.
I mean, they just have a gauntlet of a schedule.
Yep.
Total. I mean, they're gonna lose at least one of the next three.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
They play at the Buffalo, they play at the Dolphins, and then they play home to the Lions on 2 days before New Year's.
Yeah.
I think it's on the 30th, Saturday the 30th. They're going to lose one of those.
Yeah.
I think they lose one of the next two. I don't know which one it is.
If I had to make a guess, it would be the Dolphins.
I don't know, though, because the Dolphins are – I told Don and Chuck this the other day. The Dolphins are a paper tiger. We saw that on Monday. Like, if they're out and as injured as they are, they're losing Teron Armstead right now. Tyreek Hill's hurt. Tua just doesn't seem right like he did in the beginning of the season. Their offensive line is in shambles right now. And he was really, really well protected in those first 6-7 games. And now he's actually getting hit a little bit, and it's throwing off the entire rhythm of that offense. And so when you see that, I think that they could win next week. I think this is their toughest test, is this week. So I don't know. I don't know if they win or lose. I think if I had to guess or bet on it, which I probably will, I would take the Cowboys. But I don't feel good about it. I
mean, yeah, I respect that. I just feel like, even though all those injuries with the Dolphins, going to that real quick, Tyreek Hill just scares me. I mean, an MVP candidate at his position and just what he does to stretch the floor. I mean, the Cowboys safeties are not going to match up with Tyreek Hill, and then having to see Deron Bland or Gilmore go against that speed scares me a lot. But with the Bills, too, it's also going to be fun to watch Diggs. Stephon Diggs, I wish his brother was still playing because I wanted to see them match up against each other, which would have been amazing. But Diggs versus Bland this week is going to be interesting to watch. But if I still had to go, like I mentioned, I'd still go with the Cowboys. I think one person that's going to shine this game is Jake Ferguson, who's had a breakout season. But Zach's going to look for him on those checkdowns because, I mean, he's not going to want to be airing it out. And Jake Ferguson can hold his own and prove that, he's a dog. I mean, you saw last game. This guy's just balling out of control. So I'm still going to ride with the Cowboys, but I'm just hoping I don't bite my tongue. I'm more kind of concerned about the fantasy playoffs right now, Matt.
Yeah, you're going to lose to my wife.
I hope I don't. She got 26 points last night somehow from the Raiders defense. So,
Did that hurt?
Oh, it definitely hurt when I saw the score. I was like, wow. I thought she had the Chargers defense, and I was like, oh my god, thank God Jordan played it. And then I saw it, and I was like, oh, never mind.
You can't lose to Jordan, man. Come on.
We'll see.
I have every confidence in you, Jar. No, I don't. Um, Sticking with the Cowboys real quick. Mike McCarthy says he expects Stephon Gilmore, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert to do more today after missing Thursday with an illness. Expects them to be ready for Sunday. Malik Hooker took part in a Friday walkthrough and is encouraged by that status too. I'm a little concerned about the illness bug because obviously we saw Micah on Sunday. He looked gassed. He said he had like a 102, 103, 104 fever, something like that when he woke up Sunday morning, was taking all the drugs and fluids he could to play that ball game, and he played well. But still, I'm a little concerned that everyone's getting sick right now, and that it started with Micah.
Something's going around right now. It's bad.
Like, dude, they gotta like fumigate that building or something. Get the demons out. Like, we can't have that on Sunday.
Sage.
Yeah, burn some incense or something. Like, oh, gotta get those guys out of there. But yes, as far as the fantasy playoffs go, number 1 seed in our work league. I would just like that to be known. I've won 10. Seed. I've won 10 straight games. I started out 0-4, now 10-4. Overtook everybody because I'm basically the greatest. I will sign autographs if anybody needs one.
It's right. I'm gonna beat you. No worries.
You gotta beat my wife first. She's like my bodyguard. She handles it first, and I'll pick up the scraps after. So that's all we got for today's Friday edition of the Sneakers Cleats podcast. Real quick, I want to shout out Ray Corona, one of our dedicated listeners. He sent me a really nice email about our Wednesday episode. It was really, really great. It says he listens and downloads, subscribes every day. It's much appreciated, Ray. Gave me a little bit of feedback on the Davenport, Smithson Valley kind of feeder schools and how to kind of classify all those guys. So as a transplant to San Antonio, very helpful when the locals will give me a little bit of a heads up because I know I don't know everything.
Yeah, I'm hoping Smithson Valley wins this tomorrow.
Tonight.
Or tonight. I'm hoping they win against Aledo.
Yep, tonight, 7 o'clock, Aledo against Smithson Valley. They're going to have their hands full, man. Aledo is literally a factory.
Going for their 12th championship?
This will be their 12th if they win against Smithson Valley in the last 24 years. Jeez. Pretty nice to win half of the state championships that you get to.
Yep.
Actually, I think all of them, the ones that they get to, I don't think they've actually ever lost a state championship. They might have lost one. I could be saying that wrong, but I don't think they've ever gotten to one and lost. I think they've actually won almost all of them. And about half of them are blowouts too. Like almost all of them are like 30-point games.
Do you know, I don't know if maybe you know, do you know if Traylor ever faced Aledo when he was at Gilmer?
I don't know that, actually. I know that Traylor's there.
Yeah.
Traylor's up there with the UTSA boys right now and the UTSA coaching staff. They flew up. A donor gave them a private jet, use of a private jet to get up there because it's UTSA practice this morning. Then Traylor and his coaches took the private jet up to Dallas real quick, or up to Arlington real quick, and they're now watching all the games. I actually got the Tyler Chapel Hill game recording in the other room.
There you go.
Tyler Chapel Hill's getting their butts kicked. All right, guys, that's it. That's it for the Friday edition of the Sneakers Cleats podcast. Remember to download, rate, review, subscribe, just like our friend Ray Corona does. Give us a 5-star rating. Tell a friend, tell an enemy. We'll be back on Tuesday. Live show from Frisco, Texas, y'all. Tune in. We will have it on all of our social medias on News 4, Fox 29. I'll share it. Rocky will share it. Ethan will share it. He's back there. Hi, Ethan. So we will have everything live on Tuesday. Great interview from Jeff Traylor then. Good luck to Smithson Valley tonight. Until then, have a great weekend. Go Cowboys. Go Broncos.
Birds
See
up.
you then. Birds up.